Yeah. Hey, get in here, get in here. We on late time hours. I got the fire in the background. Y'all know we ain't fucking around tonight, okay? Explosion time. I got what I got. I got leak footage. Diddy conversation. Telling his sons to get rid of evidence, all that, something about pizza parties and all this extra other shit, okay? That's just one. We got the Abercrombie and Fitch CEO. And that's a weird looking motherfucker, let me tell you. Apparently, he been charged for smex trafficking, some more shit, hiring little boys, using them, BJs for jobs, all type of shit. Oh yeah, we doing some exposing tonight. So if your ass ain't here, I don't know where the fuck you at, okay? Be humble, all right? Mr. Mass TV. Like, comment, subscribe. Let's get it. Now, as I was saying, we did some research. I don't like this circle shit. Hold on, y'all, because I'm getting the feel of this. I don't like that. I might go back to my original box. A little bit better, okay? But we done did some digging, okay? I'm sure y'all saw the news. It's been everywhere. Abercrombie and Fitch CEO. He going down, he going down, he got him down, okay? Busted. Smex trafficking. I can't say what I want to say. Just tune in, all right? Like, comment.
Take classes, take charge. Start your comeback today at purdueglobal.edu.
The world. Aspiring fashion models knew
Now
that
listen to
a
this.
place on one of Abercrombie's iconic ads could be the ticket to success in the modeling industry. But while Jeffries was the CEO of one of the most recognizable clothing retailers in the world, he was using his power, his wealth, and his influence to traffic men for his own sexual pleasure and that of his romantic partner, Matthew Smith.
And you know what? To be honest, I think Diddy out in there, he can't handle that jail life. That nigga, hey, this is my opinion. Nobody else's. That nigga telling on everybody. When I say everybody, I mean everybody. For a good meal, he gonna tell on everybody. Because y'all gotta understand, a man like that can't handle themselves in a place like that. Okay? Not the one that's been with the silver spoon since he was a teenager. A teen, he probably even a baby. And you mean tell me he can get caught up in doing all this shit because we know he a fucked up individual? I'm not protecting the nigga. I'm tired of all you YouTubers and everybody out here keep trying to protect Diddy. Oh, well, he got kids. What about the kids? Why was he doing the shit when he had his kids? What did he do to his kids? Allegedly, okay. These are this is the shit that y'all should be worrying about. Now, when kids get brought into play, it's a whole different scenario. Now we got one of the top clothing brands company, Abercrombie and Fitch. Everybody in Abercrombie was rocking. Everybody was rocking Abercrombie and Fitch in the 2000s. So you mean tell me the models that they've been setting up outside of every fucking store, sitting there with their shirts off and shit, was actually being smex trafficked? Allegedly? That's what you telling me. Every Abercrombie and Fitch store worldwide, bro. And we just been sitting here.
The charging documents describe in graphic and disturbing detail the violent and exploitive acts these defendants perpetrated, for which they will now face justice in a court here in the Eastern District of New York. So here's what's alleged in the indictment. Jeffries and Smith employed James Jacobson to act as a recruiter to find men. Jacobson engaged in, quote, tryouts with men across the world where he would typically pay them
tryouts
to engage in sex acts with him.
What the fuck?
Following the tryouts with Jacobson, Smith would.
I know you lying. So this nigga was giving interviews for, but they ain't locked up though. And he's saying alleged. Look, you know
often
what?
then personally.
Oh wait, the CEO is arrested. But you need to get all of them. We don't want just the CEO. We want everybody that was a part of that shit. Everybody from the low to the high to the middle, all that shit.
Prove whether the men who were selected would meet Jeffries and Smith. The defendants would fly the selected men to Jeffries and Smith's homes in the Hamptons in New York City, or to hotels around the world in such places as England, France, Italy, Morocco, and St. Bart's,
for
the purpose of attending events to engage in commercial sex. But beyond simply hiring men for sex, Jeffries, Smith, and Jacobson used force, fraud, and coercion to traffic those men for their own sexual gratification.
It was on some Diddy shit.
For example, as alleged, the defendants employed a referral system and an interview process that did not inform the men of the details of the sex events before they attended, including the full extent and nature of the sexual activity that would be required of the men at these events. They caused the men to believe that attending these sex events could yield modeling opportunities with Abercrombie or otherwise benefit their careers. Smith and Jeffries employed a secret staff to operate these sex events. The staff ensured that the men signed non-disclosure agreements and handed over their personal items, such as their phones, before the start of the events to maintain the secrecy of these events. The defendants caused the men to believe that not complying with requests for certain acts, sex acts during the events, could harm their careers. The defendants pressured the men to consume alcohol, Viagra, and muscle relaxants known as poppers during the sex events. And they required the presence of staff during the sexual activity and ensured that the men did not leave the sex events until Jeffries and Smith decided that the sessions were over. Also, as alleged, on more than one occasion, Jeffries and Smith either directed others to inject or personally injected men with an erection-inducing substance for the purpose of causing the men to engage in sex acts the men were incapable of engaging in,
eating them drugs and every damn
to
thing.
engage in.
So they was doing the same shit Diddy was doing.
The indictment alleges on more than one occasion when men did not or could not consent, Jeffries and Smith violated the bodily integrity of these men by subjecting them or continuing to subject them to invasive sexual and violent contact by body parts and other objects.
So if Abercrombie and Fitch was a cult, what other clothing company out there that was? Because we want to know. Okay, it's about time. It's long overdue for these motherfuckers to get exposed. They've been getting away with this shit for too many years, too many decades. The time is up. Diddy is the fall guy. Yeah, that's all true and dandy, like y'all was fucking saying. But I feel like Diddy is the main piece that was finna bring the fucking house down. And now the whole fucking house is coming down with everybody in it. Everybody dirty secrets is getting revealed, and you can't fucking stop it. From companies, CEOs, to businesses, to corporations, to the music industry, to the entertainment industry, all that shit. It's coming down.
As alleged in the indictment, Jeffrey, Smith, and Jacobson didn't just carry this activity on for a couple of occasions. Their sex trafficking and prostitution enterprise lasted at least from the end of 2008 until early 2015.
Damn.
During that period, the defendants hired dozens of men.
It's been going on for that long.
Transported them to New York and around the globe. They spent millions of on a
I'm
massive
sure they did.
infrastructure to support this operation and maintain its secrecy.
Probably hired a lot of people too.
Thousands of dollars of cash for commercial sex, prolific amounts of money for staff to run the sex events, money for domestic travel, international travel, hotel rooms, services from a security company, and Jacobson's salary, among other things. Now, this investigation remains ongoing. Although there are 15 John Does identified as victims in this indictment, this interstate prostitution venture encompassed dozens and dozens of men. And I encourage anyone with information about this case, including anyone who was a victim of the defendant's alleged crimes, to contact the FBI. 1-800-CALL-FBI.
The more that a broken system tells you
That's
that you're
crazy.
wrong, the more certain you should be that you must keep pushing.
Now, I want to thank the victims who have already come forward for sharing their stories. Prosecutions like this are really impossible without the bravery of victims who are willing to report what happened to them to law enforcement. But this office, the Department of Justice, and its law enforcement partners will continue to work tirelessly to protect victims from powerful individuals who use their wealth and their influence to exploit and harm others for sexual gratification. In addition to my team, I'd like to give special thanks to FBI Special Agent Amanda Young and NYPD Detectives Paul Byrne and Antonio Pagan, who have worked hard on this investigation in the pursuit of justice. I'll now turn it over to FBI Assistant Director in Charge, Diddy.
Thank you, Breon. Good
That's
afternoon. I'm Jim
crazy.
Dennehy, Assistant
That nigga
Director in
belong
charge of
under
the
the
FBI's
jail.
New York Field Office. Today's indictment highlights the abhorrent behavior of Michael Jeffries, Matthew Smith, and James Jacobson. What's alleged in the indictment is not only beyond disturbing, dishonorable, and disgraceful, but simply put, it's criminal. In short, these individuals are charged with running a prostitution and international sex trafficking business using a combination of force, fraud, and coercion to induce victims into participating in their illegal operations. The alleged behavior occurred here in New York City and in multiple countries worldwide. The defendants allegedly preyed on the hopes and dreams of their victims by exploiting, abusing, and silencing them to fulfill their own desires with insidious secret intentions. Despite the alleged efforts of Jeffries, Smith, and Jacobson to conceal their crimes, efforts that included threatening victims and requiring them to sign non-disclosure agreements, among other things, their plan failed. This case is yet another example of individuals using their wealth, power, or reputation to manipulate and control others for their own personal interests. I'd like to speak for a second to the victims in this case and others, both those who have come forward and those we believe are still out there. The FBI and our partners make it our mission to prioritize those who have been victimized by sexual predators. We know victims come from all walks of life. They're our neighbors, our friends, and members of our community. We won't allow these criminal acts to go unchecked. We know our agency, however, cannot combat this threat alone. And we remain committed to investigating and bringing these cases forward to prosecution with our partners. We have dedicated teams ready to listen to you and to advocate for you. And we have victim specialists available to provide the necessary resources you need. If you or someone you know is a victim in this case or any other, the number to call is 1-800.
What happened? Oh, we laggy. What's to it? That's crazy, man. You mean tell me these motherfuckers been getting away from this
or online
long?
at tips.fbi.gov. We are committed to ensuring you not only get the assistance you need to cope, but also that you're aware of your rights. I'd like to thank the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of New York, Breon Peace, and the members of ED&Y's Civil Rights Section and Long Island Division's Criminal Section. I'd also like to thank the NYPD's Detective Bureau and its Specialty Enforcement Division, Special Victims Division, as well as the FBI's Miami and Milwaukee field offices. And also, I'd like to thank the dedicated investigators and personnel from the FBI, NYPD, Child Exploitation, Human Trafficking Task Force. Once again, we are waiting to hear from you, and we're here to help you. The number to call is 1-800-CALL-FBI. Thank you. And now I'd like to turn it over to Deputy Chief Ortiz.
Hello, my name is Deputy Chief Carlos Ortiz. I am the commanding officer of the NYPD Special Victims Unit. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us this afternoon. The NYPD is committed to fighting for all victims of sexual violence. We stand here today with our federal partners as we continue that mission. Our continued collaboration allows us the necessary resources to ensure successful prosecutions. First of all, I want to thank Attorney Pierce, FBI Assistant Director in charge, Diddy, and their staff, along with my human trafficking unit led by Captain Chase and Lieutenant Picarello for their diligent work in regards to this case. As evident by today's announcement, we hope our work is able to bring some sense of dignity back to these survivors. The NYPD encourages all survivors of sexual-based violence, including trafficking, to come forward and speak with us, regardless of gender, immigration status, race, or sexual orientation. Our investigators are equipped to handle all reports. Our joint federal teams remain committed to end all human trafficking. The mission and obligation of the NYPD Special Victims Unit is to provide a voice for those that feel unheard. We are here for you. Together with our federal partners, we will continue to fight for the victims of the city and all over the country. Thank you.
What was y'all antennas?
We'll take a few questions.
The indictment says that this alleged conduct ended in 2015. Why did it take nearly a decade?
Right. Why it take so fucking long?
While Trump cuts taxes for billionaires, Kamala Harris will cut them for you.
Under my plan, more
Then they
want to
make like they doing a good damn job.
Get a tax
Why
cut,
it take so fucking
letting
long?
you keep more of your hard-earned money.
FFPAC is responsible for the content of this ad.
I'm so tired of these ads. If it ain't Trump, it's us.
$453,000 in a single
ain't
month
her, it's
as an
Trump.
affiliate marketer without relying on Google.
I ain't voting, goddammit.
To come to this moment, and then did it just suddenly stop? In
I hope they
2015?
grill their ass.
If you would also say a word about the intersection of the civil lawsuits with this criminal prosecution.
Yeah, so these prosecutions really depend, as I said earlier, on the bravery of the victims to come forward and tell their stories. That happened in this case. Once that happened, our team and our law enforcement partners investigated this case thoroughly and quickly, and we're now arriving at this day when we're charging the conduct. So I say to all victims, we're here, we will listen, we will investigate, and bring charges where appropriate. The intersection of the civil lawsuits, there really is, our investigation is based on our investigation, the facts, the evidence we find, and the law. And so the civil lawsuits don't dictate what we do or vice versa.
And do you believe the conduct ended in 2015, or that's just what's chargeable?
I will say, I think the best way to answer that is say this investigation remains ongoing. We encourage any victims or any witnesses to come forward with additional information. And if there's a need to bring further charges, we, of course, will not hesitate to do that.
I had a question about the events themselves. When they took place, were they like company sanctioned events, or did they at any point happen on company grounds? And about the John Does, were they employed at all by the company? Were they working in stores? Did any of them actually make it to be part of these like advertisements? Or were they just simply brought in for these purposes and then recycled out?
I can't go beyond the allegations in the indictment. We don't have evidence that this happened on company grounds, but I will not go further into who is aware where things happen beyond what is already in the indictment, including with respect to what happened after the events.
Hi there, thanks for doing this. Can you tell us how many victims there were in total? The indictment says there were 15 John Does, but how many did you interview?
I can't get into our interview process. We interviewed many, many witnesses. As I said, their team and our law enforcement partners did a very thorough investigation into this activity. We have named 15 John Does, but as I indicated before, there may be other victims out there. We're hoping to hear from folks after this, and we will take action as appropriate.
How did your office first learn about these events and what was happening?
I think we became aware through
Yeah,
media
15
reports,
years for them to come out there.
which is not uncommon when you have media that reports on
Protect and serve minds.
stories that relate to
You gotta
crimes,
protect
alleged
yourself in
crimes.
this country.
We follow up
That's a
and do our diligence.
So about time they come to help your ass, it's gonna be a little bit too late.
Two questions. I think I want to clarify a little bit on Mark Morales' point. Does the indictment allege that the resources of Abercrombie and Fitch were involved in the furtherance of this sex trafficking, where the company itself would have any liability? And then secondly, generally, just from a sex victims and sexual violence and the investigatory standpoint, we have this situation, these scenarios that are now victims are coming more forward publicly about power, control, manipulation of those who have aspirations. You have the Sean Combs case, you have this case. Are we finding that there are going to be more widespread investigations with regard to officials in power exploiting and manipulating people? Do we see like a trend happening where more victims are coming forward? So it's a twofold thing.
Yeah, so in the first question, we don't allege in the indictment that the resources of Abercrombie and Fitch were used in furtherance of this criminal activity. But what we do allege and acknowledge is that the fact that Michael Jeffries was CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch was utilized, and the potential of an opportunity at Abercrombie to be in a ad and things like that were some of the carrots that I think people perceived as what they would achieve by participating in this activity. On your second question, I don't know if I could say it's a trend one way or the other. I'm hopeful that to the extent there are victims out there who have been subjected to trafficking activity, abuse, exploitation, that they would be confident enough in their federal and state law enforcement partners to come forward. As I said before, we listen, we investigate, we take action, and we will not hesitate to bring charges. In this office in particular, and my civil rights team, I think we have a track record of bringing cases with respect to people in power who have taken advantage of and abused others. We prosecuted R. Kelly. We brought the NXIVM case. We don't hesitate to hold the powerful and the wealthy to account if they have violated federal criminal laws.
And just to clarify, when I say a trend from the power, you may have just clarified that, but with regard to, how widespread and pervasive it seems to be becoming externally facing with regard to those in power control, manipulating and exploiting people. Are you finding that your investigations are leveling off, or are they consistent, or are we finding that you are investigating more cases of this in this space?
As I said before, I think we stand ready to investigate any criminal conduct, whether it relates to rich and powerful or not so rich and powerful. If sex trafficking laws, interstate prosecution laws, etc., are violated, we stand ready to investigate and bring charges as appropriate.
What more can you say about the victims allegedly being recruited as?
Would you be interested in collecting 5-figure paychecks for a few hours of work, helping me in your spare time from home? I'm on a mission to recover $10 million within the next 12
dangerous game in this industry.
Heterosexual
They ain't talking about shit else, okay? Now we just gonna go back to the sources. What the fuck occurred? I don't want to use CNN because I ain't trying to get on it. Let's go with long crime.
To anyone who thinks they can exploit and coerce others by using the so-called casting couch system, this case should serve
a casting couch.
Prepare to trade
Getting little boys, rolling them in. That's a damn shame.
Huge news to report about the former CEO of what was once a powerhouse clothing brand, Mike Jeffries, the ex-head of Abercrombie and Fitch, is now accused and charged with sex trafficking. This alongside his British partner and a middleman who apparently sports a snakeskin patch on his nose. I know, it's a lot, but we're going to dive in and we're going to bring you everything we know so far in this brand new criminal case. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. A deviant and a predator. That's what alleged victims call Mike Jeffries. This is the man who was once at the top of the fashion industry when he was heading up Abercrombie and Fitch. Well, now Jeffries, his romantic partner Matt Smith, and a third man, Jim Jacobson.
Romantic partner. Look at these creeps. Look at these motherfuckers. They look like creeps. You can't tell me otherwise. And I'm glad it wasn't just him that got arrested. So they did. When I was saying earlier, when I was like, I hope they got more than just him, because you know that this shit is an organization and they run groups, not just one person work. It's the same with Diddy too. I feel the same way. Diddy should not be the only one that got. It should be everybody that was included and did this shit along with him, you know? So
as part of an FBI probe into alleged sex trafficking. As if we didn't talk enough about sex trafficking when it came to Sean Combs. But now we have another high-profile person caught up in similar allegations. So this comes as a grand jury for the Eastern District of New York indicted the men on charges of sex trafficking and interstate prostitution, specifically citing 15 John Does who say that they were victimized as part of this. I want to bring in former federal prosecutor Nima Rahmani to talk more about this. Nima, so good to have you. Thanks for jumping on. What is your reaction to this? I mean, this is as I said, we weren't talking enough about Sean Combs. Now we have a.
Now you got a whole nother one.
Done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years.
And to be honest, let me just say something. I think Diddy probably set him up. Diddy probably behind jail, snitching on all the CEO companies that's been doing this shit. Because he doing it to save his ass, to lessen his time. Because y'all know a nigga like that can't survive in jail for too long. He was asking for a chef. He was asking, we gotta be one dumb nigga. Who do you think you are? This nigga asked for a personal chef while he was in jail. Yes, he did. I can't even lie to you. Go look it up. You don't believe me? Go look it up. Tissa Tale, she told it all. This nigga was asking for personal chefs. Not to mention tried to get bail 3 to 4 times, still trying to go to bail. But they're not going to give you bail, bro, because you did something that y'all keep comparing R. Kelly, Bill Cosby, all these other motherfuckers to Diddy. And why he ain't getting bail and all them got bail? Because they ain't trying to tamper with the witnesses. That's why he did, and he got caught doing it. So now he equals to a flight risk. So they're not going to give him bail. If you know how law work, you will understand. For all you Simple Simon motherfuckers that think y'all know everything, do your research.
Who's been charged with this?
Jesse, I wish I could say I was surprised, but I'm not. These allegations have been circulating for quite some time. There's been a civil lawsuit that's filed. Now, I didn't expect the feds to come in and make these types of arrests. Oftentimes, they do not get involved when there's a civil lawsuit, but clearly there's enough smoke here and enough evidence.
Oh yeah, that's more than
come
enough.
in. And the Eastern District of New York, they don't mess around. It's like the Southern District. Obviously, they handled the R. Kelly case. They've handled the NXIVM case, that sex trafficking case, I believe, also came out of the Eastern District. So they're pretty well versed in handling these types of claims. And what's really interesting to me is, obviously, we're talking about a lot of victims, but really the dates of the offenses. Some of these allegations are older, going back to 2008, as recent as 2015. So I'm thinking maybe the feds were up against the clock a little bit when it comes to the statute of limitations for some of these allegations. That's why they acted when they did.
Interesting. And we'll talk a little bit more about what might have motivated this, but to bring everybody up to speed, this investigation.
No, we know what
into
motivated. They
these
some
three
weird
men, it
ass
centers
niggas.
around whether they exploited and abused young men at parties that were hosted all around the world and across the United States. Mike Jeffries, who's now 80 years old, he lives in West Palm Beach, Florida. His partner, 60-year-old Matthew Smith, originally from the UK, lives there too. And James Jacobson, sometimes referred to as Jim, apparently lives in Wisconsin. They're expected to make their initial appearances in their respective states. Then they're going to be
A couple
arraigned
weirdos.
in New York federal court at a later date. By the way, I should give everybody a disclaimer. When you see these photos of Jacobson that were featured in a BBC documentary about Abercrombie and Fitch and its alleged cover-up of impropriety, and we'll talk about that, these photos have gone viral. And you'll see that Jacobson wears what appears to be a nose patch. It's a piece of what we believe to be snake skin over his nose. This is apparently to hide the result of a plastic surgery mishap. Just another interesting detail in all this. By the way, we're going to keep an eye out on this story as it develops. We always want to do that with our big stories. We want to keep providing you updates as these things move on through the legal process. And one of the reasons that we can continue to do that for you, one of the reasons we able to put on these sidebars, is because we get amazing support from our partners. And I really just want to call out one in particular right now, our sponsor, Upside. Now, Upside is just awesome. This is a free app that helps you get cash back when you buy gas, groceries, food, real cash back, money that appears in your Upside app that you can then transfer straight into your bank account. It is so easy to use. Look here. I used Upside to find a gas station. I claimed an offer, pay with my credit card at the pump, followed the steps on the app. Guess what? I got cash back. And you can use Upside at all different kinds of places, restaurants, convenience stores. So to find out how much you could earn, click the link in the description to download Upside or scan the QR code on screen and use our advertising, sometimes on huge billboards all around the world. The Eastern District of New York alleges that behind the scenes, though, Jeffries and his co-defendants used lies and the promise of ad campaigns and career opportunities to force male models to have sex with them. Prosecutors, they gave a news conference about the investigation on Tuesday, providing very disturbing details. So we're going to play you a portion of that announcement right now.
I mean, it's crazy to think about it. Like, it used to cost millions to advertise on TV, and now, because of streaming, even with...
So here's what's alleged in the indictment. Jeffries and Smith employed James Jacobson to act as a recruiter to find men. Jacobson engaged in, quote, tryouts with men across the world where he would typically pay them
not just America,
to engage in sex acts with him. Following the tryouts with Jacobson, Smith would often then personally approve whether the men who were selected would meet Jeffries and Smith. The defendants would fly the selected men to Jeffries and Smith's homes in the Hamptons, in New York City, or to hotels around the world in such places as England, France, Italy, Morocco, and St. Bart's, for the purpose of attending events to engage in commercial sex.
We already seen all this.
Before the act, sex event.
Fraud.
I want to see what else they're talking about.
Substantive or RICO conspiracy charge. Obviously, that can bring in a lot of individuals. It can bring in a lot of crimes.
Look at
They
that
didn't charge
face.
that in this case, but
Do that look like a
clearly
same
you
face to
have
y'all?
a criminal
Look at his
enterprise
too.
here, and obviously that
What the
there are
fuck?
many individuals whose purpose was to recruit,
Is something
groom
wrong with
these
your nigga
men,
nose?
and engage in prostitution. And I think one of the big takeaways is what the U.S. attorney said, and that's that force, fraud, or coercion, because there's really three possibilities here. Obviously, having consensual sex with your boss, get ahead. It's not criminally unlawful. It may violate civil sexual harassment laws, but this has moved well past consensual sex into prostitution, right?
How is it consensual when they're underage? For one, for two, that's a breach of code or something. If you having sex with your boss, I'm sorry, bro. Something now, and it's not even. And what makes it even worse is these young boys. Come on now. Now, is you defending, bro, or is you just being honest? Like, which one is it?
Prostitution, obviously, is that commercial element, that payment. And what makes something sex trafficking is the force, fraud, or coercion. That's why during the press conference, there was the focus on that, because that takes away the consent entirely. And once you prove that, you start talking about potential mandatory minimum sentences in federal prison.
You're 100% right. 100% right. That's the key there. And just to take a closer look at the actual
Lock 'em
wording of
all
the
up.
indictment that was filed in the Eastern District, it reads from
They all
approximately
need to go to
2008
jail.
to 2015. The defendants, Michael S. Jeffries, Matthew C. Smith, and James T. Jacobson, together with others, operated an international sex trafficking and prostitution business. During this period, Jeffries and Smith relied on their vast financial resources, Jeffries' power
Yeah, they was
as
pimping.
the CEO of Abercrombie, and numerous
That's what
people,
you call
including
that.
Jacobson and a network of employees, contractors, and security professionals to run a business that was dedicated to fulfilling their sexual desires and ensuring that their international sex trafficking and prostitution
Poor
business
kids.
was kept secret, thereby maintaining Jeffries' powerful reputation. So, Nima, you have this long time period. I think that's interesting. I also think it's interesting when you see there are multiple players here who are probably cooperating with the government, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think there are plenty of people that participated in getting these men and making sure they didn't leave. You heard the allegations in the indictment. I don't think it was just the three of the named defendants that were involved here, right? We've seen it time and
Everybody
time
used to
again
rock
when
Abercrombie
you're
and
dealing
Fitch.
with
Shit, still
sex
kind of
trafficking.
do.
There's individuals who
That's
are
a damn
recruiters,
shame.
the Elaine Maxwells of the world, right? That are actually making
And
contact.
think
I
about who
don't
they
think
making their
Jeffries
clothes
himself is picking
for.
up the phone and booking the
Ain't
plane
that creepy?
ticket and the hotel room and flying these men out. And I think there are many individuals involved, and it really goes to that force, fraud, and coercion, right? What's the fraud? Well, the men were told X and then something else happened, right? The force, if they weren't permitted to leave because there's Abercrombie security there that's not letting them leave, or if they're not in the state where they can consent, and it appears to be some rape allegations as well. And the coercion, of course, is the telling these men that their career will be over or they won't be furthered if they don't participate in these sex acts.
Yeah, and this idea that it's operated almost like a business. These charges, they're not unique. We've seen them before, but they are unique to a specific group of people. To carry something out like this, you're not going to just charge John Smith. You have to have what seemingly the power, the resources, the influence, the infrastructure to carry something out like this. So that's why you see charges like this against a Sean Combs or a Mike Jeffries or a Jeffrey Epstein. Wealth and power are big common themes that we see here. Now, again, these are just allegations. They're innocent until proven guilty, but allegations nonetheless that are really disturbing to hear. Now, prosecutors, they allege that many people were employed as part of this Jeffries family office. It's not also known as JFO in the indictment, specifically to organize and facilitate these sex events. It says at the direction of the defendants, Michael C. Jeffries and Matthew C. Smith, the staff were present at, observed, and acted as security for, including by controlling entry and exit the sex events. The staff also provided Jeffries, Smith, and the men who attended with alcohol, muscle relaxants known as poppers, lubricant, Viagra, condoms, among other items, as directed by Jeffries and Smith. The staff also directed men to, among other things, wear costumes, use sex toys to prepare for particular sexual acts. Either the defendant, James T. Jacobson, or the staff paid the men for attending the sex events. And you talked about count one of the indictment, it's sex trafficking. And the document alleges that the 3 co-defendants did no.
Let me show you how we do stuff around here. Actually, my department uses Monday.com.
That shit crazy.
So
Ain't even the
work
worst.
management tool? No.
It's some. Let me tell y'all
knowingly
something.
intentionally recruit.
Let me tell y'all something. Like from heart to heart, like straight up, it's some weird shit going on this planet right now, and the veil is being lifted. All the dirty secret shit is coming to the light because it will be revealed. 2025 is gonna be that motherfucking year, and I'm the one who fucking said it. Mark my words. 2025 will be that year. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Y'all have no clue what you're with. Some shit you gonna hear and what we gonna hear in the future is gonna make people's stomach turn. You're gonna be sick to your stomach because you're gonna be thinking, why did I idolize these people? How could I idolize these people? How could somebody be this horrifically sick? Oh yeah, it's all coming to the light, baby.
Entice,
For
harbor,
sure.
transport, provide, obtain, and maintain by any means one or more persons in and affecting interstate commerce, and did benefit financially and by receiving anything of value from participation in a venture which engaged in such acts, knowing and reckless disregard of the fact that means of force, threats of force, fraud, and coercion. So, Nima, what are ways to defend against this? Do you say, I had no knowledge about how these individuals were being brought here? This was all consensual. There was no force, fraud, or
Ain't no
coercion?
way.
It seems like a complicated charge when we talked about sex trafficking, but how would someone like Mike Jeffries defend against it?
Well, there are a few possibilities, Jesse. The first is to argue that the sexual contact didn't happen. Probably going to be tough in this case if there's a lot of witnesses and people that were helping.
And there's proof,
recruit and secure
evidence.
these men for Jeffries and others. So then you argue to get around the prostitution that the sexual contact happened. There's no commercial element, right? There's no payment, right? That would make it not prostitution. And of course, you would argue that it is consensual because, of course, consenting sex between adults is not unlawful. No matter how weird or freaky it may be, you can have sex toys, you can have drugs, you can have lubricants, you can have all of that. As long as there isn't that commercial element, there's no force, fraud, or coercion. It's not a crime. So I think that's where the defense is going to have to go in this case.
I think this one might
This
be more
is
difficult.
what, yeah, I don't know.
Counts 2 through 16.
I don't think he
allege
know what the fuck he
interstate
talking about.
prostitution,
Right.
That the co-defendants did.
They was
knowingly
flying
and
them out of the
intentionally
country,
persuade,
bro.
Induce, entice, and coerce individuals.
They was basically
to travel in
prostituting.
interstate and foreign
What are you
commerce
talking
to
about?
engage in prostitution.
Thank
the
you.
indictment also lays out approximate dates that 15 John Does allegedly had interactions with these men. Now, by all accounts, these are not
15
known
John Does.
commercial sex workers, but it
Probably
seems to
more
me
than
if you
that.
can prove they traveled at the behest of these individuals or at the direction of these individuals, or maybe they were on private planes and they were together and they're being paid and you have receipts of the payment, that feels like a difficult charge there to defend against. Unless you say, look, things were paid in cash, there's no way to prove there was payment. But again, I made the same argument with the Sean Combs case. That charge feels tough to defend against. Am I wrong?
No, that's right. Prostitution is much easier for prosecutors to prove, more difficult because you have that federal jurisdictional hook, that interstate travel.
Diddy ain't getting
payment,
out
and you have
no
sex, and
time
that's
soon.
it. Now, I
That
don't
nigga
think
might as well
the
get
feds would
comfortable.
have filed this case if it was just a straight prostitution case, not certainly as serious of a charge. Doesn't carry the significant sentences that sex trafficking does.
That's
because
crazy.
Sex trafficking, essentially rape, right? So, but that being said, still serious, still federal crimes because of the interstate component, and certainly something that can be more readily proven because, again, you have the sex, you have the travel, and you have the money, and that's it. You have federal prostitution.
Now, in response to this arrest, Jeffries' attorney, Brian Bieber, told NBC News, quote, "We will respond in detail to the allegations after the indictment is unsealed and when appropriate, but plan to do so in the courthouse, not the media." And by the way, during this news conference, U.S. Attorney Peace, I should say, said that right now, the indictment doesn't allege that Abercrombie, the company, had any role in the alleged sex trafficking and prostitution, only that Jeffries and these others, they used Abercrombie modeling campaigns as a way to bait and lure male models. That's an important distinction, right?
How do you take 20,000 children in the middle of New York City without anybody seeing? They are being put into buses. They are given certain clothes. Some of them were taken out in boxes.
I'm so glad they exposing shit, man.
You can call them crates.
Right, Nemo?
This shit is so
It's very
sad.
important, especially for the civil.
You gotta save the kids on this planet, man. It's too much shit happening to the kids. These sick motherfuckers been getting away with this shit for too long. Somebody gotta stand up. Somebody gotta do something. If you don't, you a bitch ass. I said it. Okay, I stand on it. You're a pussy if you know.
Civil case. It's rare for an entity to be prosecuted criminally. It certainly does happen, but we know that many of these victims have filed civil lawsuits, and those civil lawsuits want to bring in Abercrombie. And of course, the allegation would be that Jeffries and others there within the course and scope of their employment when they're doing this, that puts the company on the hook for potentially big civil settlement or judgment. So that's very important for the civil case, not so much for the criminal case. But you know, we've seen it time and time again, whether it's Catholic Church or any other entity, civil plaintiffs want to bring in the entity to make sure that someone can pay a big settlement or judgment.
That's where the money is. Although, to be clear, Mike Jeffries certainly has money of his own. But
I'm sure that nigga do.
Before we talked about before,
He a CEO,
2008 to
a weird ass
2018. Why are
CEO.
these charges coming out now? Well,
I
these
bet you, to be
bombshell
honest,
arrests, they come after an
I ain't even finna lie to y'all. Probably all these CEOs be weird as fuck. Ain't no telling. Because if he getting exposed, ain't no telling who the fuck else is next. They gonna tell on each other. I'm telling y'all. That's how the industry works. When one goes down, they all goes down. Did he not say and did that review, that report, that mass report to all the celebrities where he had his niece or nephew with him, and they was naming off names. He said, if I go down, y'all all going down. So I guess he taking everybody with him. So goodbye, so long.
an explosive BBC documentary that was released, and it detailed the alleged abuse perpetrated by Mike Jeffries. It's called The Abercrombie Guys, The Dark Side of Cool, and it detailed accusations against Jeffries and Smith, and this was uncovered in a 2-year investigation by the BBC. And the allegations, they are very similar to the indictment. They claim that this middleman, James Jacobson, helped recruit young men for orgies under the guise of being offered career
Take them down
opportunities
with
to
them.
model, and that these sex parties allegedly occurred in numerous locations, including at Jeffries Hampton's retreat, Morocco,
So they had
France, New York City.
too.
Both Jeffries and Smith, they refused to comment on these claims in the documentary, and Jim Jacobson, this alleged fixer,
They had a baby
also
oil too.
denied any wrongdoing. He claimed that the men who attended these events, quote, they went in with their eyes open, meaning to say, seemingly like they were
He looked like he
consensual to what
lying.
was going
That
on.
nigga look weird.
The BBC investigation, though, it brought forth 8 stories of young men who spoke of this alleged grooming operation. And 2 of these men, David Bradbury and Barrett Paul, they went on the record claiming that they were schmoozed, they were stripped, they were shaved naked, and they were coerced into all forms of sex acts in exchange for appearing in the Abercrombie catalog. In fact, David Bradbury filed his own lawsuit against Jeffries and Abercrombie, by the way. And one man who was in disguise and going by the name Alex claimed that he was drugged and raped at a party in Morocco. He became ill afterwards and then was diagnosed with HIV 6 years later, which he alleged he contracted at this party in Morocco.
That's
so, Nima, how much
crazy.
of a role does a documentary like
Woo!
this play in criminal charges?
We got another
had the same
movie. We
conversation
got another movie
with
on the
R.
hands.
Kelly case, right? Surviving R. Kelly. Do you think, I mean, the
Surviving R.
timing of it's
Kelly,
interesting.
surviving
You have
Diddy,
this investigation by a
surviving
media outlet.
Abercrombie and Fitch.
I mean, we said the same
What's
thing with Harvey
next?
Weinstein, the New York Times.
All
piece.
of them.
Do you think it was that documentary that has now led to these charges against these 3 individuals?
Jesse, we've talked about it before, and absolutely the answer is yes. Time and time again, a documentary can change the trajectory of a legal case or initiate a prosecution. Obviously, R. Kelly is a great example of surviving R. Kelly. We talked about Weinstein, but there are many other examples. We talked about Bob Durst and the Jinx finally being brought to justice in that case, or even Britney Spears. She finally got out of her
So y'all think that is it? Hold
because of
on.
multiple
Okay.
documents.
But we done with them right now. Okay. Well, I was. What they say I was a woman fool. I was scrolling along, you know, and I ran across something. Okay, that shit. It almost took me out. Okay. Feast your eyes on this. Just hold up. Wait a minute. Because this shit just happened 5 days ago. Is y'all ready for this? Because what was this at? This probably wasn't on no news but Florida news. Seen, it was some in Ohio. Well, I saw a lot of Smex trafficking busts getting bust open. And yeah, that was about it. The other state. I want to say Colorado, but I'm not 100% sure. But those three, but Florida, they've been taking motherfuckers down all year. All 2024, they have.
Excited that we were able.
And I wanted to show y'all that because they don't be showing all this shit on the news. And I'm pretty sure this shit was only probably shown in Florida. But now if you came on this platform, you will see it. Okay? Now, enough of all that. Okay. What I'm getting at is it's too much shit going on. This shit is bigger than just Diddy. Okay? Diddy is just the tip of the iceberg, okay? This shit goes way deeper and bigger than Diddy. But speaking on Diddy, now I gotta show y'all what I said that I had, because allegedly, okay, Diddy was caught on recording, on jail calls, sending signals to his son. Now y'all tell me what y'all think about this.
None of this nonsense and nothing over the phone.
Here Diddy's being kind of smart because he knows everybody records prison phone calls, so he definitely knows that he can't say anything specific about the case, and you could tell by the rest of the conversation that he wants to make sure that they don't know what he's talking about.
I'm gonna need you to get rid of all the leftover pizza boxes. The what? All the boxes left over from the pizza. All the boxes.
So here we got Diddy talking in code about pizza boxes. I'm not sure what the reference is and what its actual code name for, but he's mentioning pizza and boxes separate, so I don't know what the pizza stands for, and I don't know what the boxes stand for. If anybody knows what this means, leave it in the comments so we could talk about it. And also, remember, this is just a legal disclaimer. Everything is alleged. We're not saying any of this is true. We're just reacting to something that we found on the internet.
Okay, make sure you recycle the plastic like we talked about. Yeah.
It's obvious Diddy knew he was going in, and he had all this already set up on the outside for his son. And plastic could mean CDs. If he had some, videos on CDs or videos on flash drives, they're made of plastic. Even hard drives, a lot of them are made of plastic. So that could be what he's referencing. It could be a memory card. SD cards are made of plastic. So all that kind of lines up with what he's trying to say, which is get rid of the footage.
You heard him. Then he said get rid of all the pizza boxes. What you mean by that, bro? Because the last time we heard that Pizzagate shit. So what the fuck are you talking about? Then you talking about plastic? Okay, something strange going on. But hey, it don't stop there. There's more.
Did Jay reach out yet? Nah, Bob. He ghosting. What the f is this motherfucker doing? These things sweet now because I'm in here. It's all good. You about to get out on bail.
Now, there's definitely a lot to unpack here. He asked him if Jay reached out. We don't know who that is, but he doesn't specify Z at the end of it. So I think we could assume who it is, but we're not exactly sure. And Diddy sounding very upset. It could definitely tell me one thing, that he had a backup plan in place, and apparently this Jay person did not do what was supposed to happen because he's expecting something to happen and they didn't come through. And not exactly sure of the timing of this call, but obviously it seems that it's before the second time that he was denied bail, right? Because they thought he was going to get out.
No, hey yo, check this out. Need you to reach out to the producer. Let these motherfuckers know there's a release date for that new Netflix movie. Alright, Pop. It's fucking crazy right now.
Okay, so there's a lot going on here, but I could definitely tell that saying the Netflix movie is definitely associated with a freak off videotape. That's pretty easy to put together. I don't know who this producer person is. That might be the one who's holding the tapes, maybe. I mean, it's pretty obvious, I think, but he's not really spelling it out. And actually, there was a lawyer going on news stations telling everybody that multiple tapes are being shopped out. So this could be before that happened. And maybe that's his way of like keeping people silent by just letting people know that the tapes are out there, ready to be dropped.
It's fucking crazy right now.
And then you could tell by his voice, his son King Combs does not seem like he's okay with what's happening, because a lot is being put on their names at once, and we know because we could see it on TV every day. So he's kind of dealing with it without trying to say it to his dad.
Everybody out there quiet as a motherfucker on him. Yeah, exactly. We gonna let them have their little fun, but I'm still gonna have the last laugh.
Nah, what he's saying here is something that everybody's been saying, yo. None of the celebrities that were very close to him over the years, who've been all over videos and stuff, have said anything. Even when asked about it, Kevin Hart didn't say nothing. Rihanna, Jay-Z, Beyonce, a lot of these people have been stone silent. So because of that, I'm starting to think that, does he really have something on these people or not? Because he's pretty confident, even in jail from a phone call, which is kind of Diddy's MO. He's always been overly confident anyway.
What about all these lawsuits though, Pop?
Ain't none of them getting shit. I ain't worth nothing. Ain't got shit in my name anyway. Don't even worry about it. Bunch of money hungry bitches and shit.
So I guess Diddy here is calming down his son. He's pretty much not worried about the lawsuits at all. He looks like he doesn't plan on paying anyone to settle. And you know what's weird is that there was a clip from Mace where he said that nothing is in Diddy's name either, which is strange. So you can't really sue him for anything.
I did this nigga told me he wanted receipts. Let's start with your mother, nigga. Your mother got the receipts. Yeah, everything is in your mother's name. That's the one who got the receipts. Biggie ain't here, so Big can't give you no receipts. He dead. Craig Mack can't give you receipts. He dead. Black Rob can't give you receipts. He dead. And everybody else, you made sign paperwork so they can't talk about what I'm talking about.
Pop, Justin said, what should he do about his whip though?
Man, the fuck is you talking about? You don't see this shit I'm dealing with right now?
I know, Bob. I told his stupid ass.
Hey, yo, check this out. Tell his light-skinned ass to go make a club appearance or something. Motherfucker, make some money. You 30 years old and shit. Pay your own fucking car. Damn.
Now, Diddy seems to be going hard on his other son right here, Justin. And I did do some searching on Google and found out that he actually has a situation with a car company that's suing him because he didn't make his car payments. So I don't know their situation or if Diddy's making his car payments. I mean, either way, I guess he made his brother ask his dad.
I told him drop some music. I'm about to drop a new track this week. Everybody gonna want to hear what my sound like.
Man, we not doing that shit. Y'all need to stay quiet.
Pop, I can rap though. We got attention right now.
Man, just do what the I told you to do. And don't forget about the list.
I told y'all. I told you. See, I done told you. I done told you. We done cracked a lot of shit today. Now, as y'all can hear, his mouth, his words. And who is Jay? Who the fuck do y'all think he would be talking about? Is Jay talking? Did Jay say, did you hear back from Jay? Oh, no, Pop, he didn't respond. Jay-Z, allegedly. Who is this CEO he's speaking on? 1 + 1 = 2, so who is it? Mighty, mighty strange. That's fucking crazy. And that was the whole clip. I'm pretty sure that was the majority of the whole fucking clip. Now, clearly, he don't even think that he's going to be touched. So what I feel like what Diddy is thinking is that he going to be able to be out. He think these lawsuits going to pass. Like he said, he ain't paying nobody shit because it ain't in his name. As you heard from Mace, nothing is in his name. It's all in his mama's. So if you want to sue him, you got to go to the mama. But what if the mama got brought into the shit? Then that means she will go down with him. Because all it takes is one little piece of evidence that ties her with everything he got going on. And there you have it. You're cooked, bro. All your money, everything cooked. We already know you're going broke. The money ain't looking long like it used to, did it? Now, y'all tell me what y'all think about that. Because I was saving the best for last. And yeah, you heard for yourself, okay? But no, wait. I think we got a little bit more now. Nah, I ain't gonna do it tonight. I've been on here for too fucking long, okay? So, my advice to y'all is If you got kids, protect the kids. Want your family. If you're going to parties, ladies, don't let any nigga just buy you a drink. Check your drinks. Don't sip on anything, none of that. Cause these niggas be out to get you, and you might end up. I mean, Diddy not around, but I'm sure that they still having them parties. Okay. So yeah. And as far as the Abercrombie and Fitch situation, take them all down. I hope they all fall. They all crumble. Okay. That's the way the cookie crumble. One go, they all gotta fucking go. You feel me? Cause ain't nobody perfect. Now, on that note, I saw. Be sure to like this video, comment, subscribe, comment your thoughts, follow, share. Okay, Mr. Mass TV. I'm out. Peace.